I wanted to do a review on one of these pure Android head units, doubled in. This is a no-name brand. However, I've seen other units that look just like this that are made by Sony. So my guess is this pure Android, no brand on it, head unit, most likely has a lot of Sony parts in it, mixed with some aftermarket circuits, probably the Android mainboard. But I suspect that the preamp, amplifier, the CD-ROM, and the touchscreen are probably Sony, and then a mixture of guts inside. I've installed this in a WRX, and this car has quite a loud exhaust, so if it's coming over the mic, I apologize. I'm going to keep this pretty short. I just want to show you what you can get for $280. I've even seen them cheaper. I was a little reluctant on buying it, but I did get it from a seller in the United States on eBay, and I'll provide the link in the video description. One thing to note, they claim this is a universal DIN unit, but at least in my WRX, this is a 2003 WRX Impreza, I had to have a friend of mine CNC cut this bezel that goes around the radio on a CNC machine, and then even after that I had to go back and do a little bit of dremeling. You cannot put this radio in, mount it, and then put the bezel back on, and the reason being is the chassis will fit, but this touchscreen folds down, which I'll show you now. I'll boot it up by hitting the home button. It does have a remote, but a lot of functions on the remote just don't work well with Android. I mean, you can volume up, volume down, mute. So anyway, here's this. You can change the startup screen. That's just the one I chose. On the front, you got a home button, a menu button, which takes you straight to your Android settings, the back button, the open CD face. It's got a built-in mic on the front, and your volume. It usually defaults to the radio, which picks up great, by the way. I had an Alpine single DIN unit in here, and it only picked up 2 radio stations. This one picks them all up. It does not come with a navigation app installed. I'll get to that in a minute, but I tried 6 or 7 offline GPS apps, and the best one, I tried them all, and the best one I found was CoPilot. It'll cost you $10. The maps are free, and they are updated often. And I might be wrong, but I think CoPilot GPS is put out by Garmin. It doesn't really have their name on it, but I think they're the ones that do it. So there's your, I'll show you the radio. Well, first of all, let me show you what's behind the screen. The screen folds down. I do need to pull the radio back out a little bit because it's, I don't mind the tilt because it's actually great for viewing. And by the way, even in bright sunlight, this screen does wonderful. I mean, for $280, I couldn't be more pleased. So you got all your typical Android stuff at the top. My GPS antenna is up there in the corner. I've tested the GPS. It works superb with the open source maps. I do have a rear view camera hooked up, and I did it in a novel way. There's my battery voltage. I may have to add a battery to this setup because of the amps. I got 2 Hyphonics amps that are very power hungry. But anyway, and there's my iPod. So it does have Ipod Connectivity. I got to clean up some wiring down there, but I do have a 3G USB cable. I'm not using 3G, but you can plug a USB stick into that. And it also comes with a Wi-Fi stick. The Wi-Fi works great. The download speeds are great. But what I want to show you is, instead of hooking the rear view camera to my gear shift and operating the camera from my rear lights, I opted to put a switch right above my, just a toggle switch. I did this so that even while I'm going down the road, I can see my blind spot. So with the flick of a switch, there's my rear view camera. Now, I only paid $15 for the camera, but the picture's great. And it's got a 120 degree viewing angle, so I got a stiffening cap on the ground. But anyway, going down the road, I don't rely on this exclusively, but it's great for checking your blind spot, because the cars to the left and right of you will show up into your blind spot. So my music and nav can be running, and I can flip at any time with this switch down here. Flip it back up, and I'm back to my regular radio. If you open, this faceplate folds down. And there you have your CD player. One SD card slot is for your music up to 32 gig. The other SD card slot is for your GPS maps. So you've got two SD card slots, 32 gig each, and you have a USB cable that you can plug a thumb drive into, and then the iPod. So I've got music loaded on all. I mean, everything in my collection is either on the iPod, it's in NAND flash, or it's on a USB stick. So anyway, I'll show you the radio real quick. The touch is very responsive. This has got a dual CPU in it, and I'll just click on some of my links. Now, it does come with an EQ, and it'll let you adjust the center frequency, kind of like a parametric, and I'll show you that. And it'll let you adjust your balance, your zone, your fading. So here's the EQ section. It's got presets. There's your bass, middle, treble, but then you can set your center frequency. So I've set my center frequency down as low as it'll go. I like a lot of 200 to 300 hertz vocals. So instead of my center frequency being at 1,000, I brought it down, so it's probably around between 200 and 300 hertz. And I've boosted my treble center frequency. And then under zone, you can adjust your subwoofer volume and your loudness. Actually, I'm going to bring my loudness up just a tad. And actually, my highs and my subs never sounded this good with the Alpine head unit that I had in before. And let's see. So we'll get back. If you're navigating and listening to music, if you hit the back button, your music's going to stop. So what you want to do is go home, and then if I want to bring up my navigation, my music's still going, tap navigation, and there's CoPilot. $9.99, turn by turn. It works great. I'm not going to get into that too much right now. Back to exit out of that. Video will play any video files that are on your flash memory. This is a built-in music player. It covers your external SD card, USB stick, and I'm not sure what iNAND is. I'm assuming it's something to do with Apple products. So, but with this, you're still, anything stock on the setting, you're stuck with the 3-band EQ that I just showed you. But I did find, let me get out of the music. It's running Android 4.2. I got live wallpapers running. It works great. There's my time application. So you got your radio navigation, music, and video. Go over again. You got your Ipod Controls, which work great, and I'll show you that now. You do have to turn on the iPod. It doesn't wake it up. You've got an auxiliary audio video in, your CD, and if you have an antenna, it will pick up digital TV. I'll go to the iPod just to show you that it does work. I'll just bring up whatever here. You can search your albums, playlist, whatever. And this is still going to use the built-in equalizer, but I'm going to show you something better in a minute. If you do get one of these, I would suggest Garmin CoPilot as your navigation. And I'm going to show you a better music player that gives you a much better equalizer and some other features. So I don't know how well this will sound. I've got Hyphonics components, Hyphonics amps, and 2 Orion XTR Pros in the trunk. So that's coming off of the iPod. Sounds good, but let me go back to stop it. I would suggest spending, I think this cost me $2.99 maybe. It's a meteor player called N7 Player. I've also got some other goodies on here. I do have, before I show you this player, let me go to, there's the phone interface. I don't have my phone with me, but the hands-free does work perfect. It mutes if you got music playing, it turns your music volume down, and you can place and send calls no problem. Let me get out of that. For tuning, I've installed a frequency generator. So I don't know, let me choose 100 hertz and see if I can go a little lower than that. Yeah, there we go. Let's go about 37 hertz. It's a little touchy. Trying to get that frequency down as far as I can go. It doesn't seem to want to let me. A stylus would be a must. Okay, 22 hertz. Sound on. So it's playing a 22 hertz note. And I can definitely feel it. And you can choose different frequencies. We'll go to 100. My battery's getting low, so it looks like it just rebooted on me. Yep, I think I will need another battery. Last thing I just want to show you is the N7 player. It gives you bass treble controls, normalization, and I think it's a 10-band EQ. And you can adjust your preamp. It organizes your playlist very nicely. So to get added DSP features and to get a much better equalizer, I would suggest using this N7 player. Like I said, it's only a few dollars. I can use the browser, no problem, out in my driveway. So let's go to N7. It's telling me I've got new mail. I'm connected to my indoor Wi-Fi. So you can have this come up It's listing all the artists that I have installed on my flash card. So you get a wall like this, so you can pick any of your, I can go to Eminem. That's not what I wanted. Let me go back. Where was we at? Eminem. There we go. And it shows the album art for the albums I have. And my battery must really be getting low or something, because I must have a damaged battery cell. It's coming back on its own. But to be fair, I am demanding a lot of the stock battery. I may put a yellow top in the back. As soon as I show you the end player, I will conclude this. The screen usually stays open for about 10 seconds and then automatically closes. And it's a computer, so you may have to reboot it from time to time. I may have to turn my key off and back on. Yeah, it looks like that's the case. Let's see if it'll boot up correctly. Let's see what my battery voltage is. Oh boy. I may have a bad alternator. So that's why it's turning off. Let me figure out my battery problems and maybe I'll do another review.